Hey there, I'm Liz Birkland. I'm super excited to be here with you today. And today we are reading Deuteronomy chapters 23 through 26. And so I invite you to grab your Bible or just listen along and let's start. He who is emasculated by crushing or cutting shall not enter into Yahweh's assembly. A person born of a forbidden union shall not enter into Yahweh's assembly. Even to the 10th generation shall no one of his enter into Yahweh's assembly. An Ammonite or a Moabite shall not enter into Yahweh's assembly. Even to the 10th generation shall no one belonging to them enter into Yahweh's assembly forever, because they didn't meet you with bread and with water on the way when you came out of Egypt, and because they hired against you Balaam, the son of Beor, from Pethor of Mesopotamia, to curse you. Nevertheless, Yahweh your God wouldn't listen to Balaam, but Yahweh your God turned the curse into a blessing to you, because Yahweh your God loved you. You shall not seek their peace, nor their prosperity all of your days forever. You shall not abhor an Edomite, for he is your brother. You shall not abhor an Egyptian, because you lived as a foreigner in his land. The children of the 3rd generation who are born to them may enter into Yahweh's assembly. When you go out and camp against your enemies, then you shall keep yourselves from every evil thing. If there is among you any man who is not clean by reason of that which happens to him by night, then shall he go outside of the camp. He shall not come within the camp. But it shall be, when evening comes, he shall bathe himself in water. When the sun is down, he shall come within the camp. You shall have a place also outside of the camp where you go relieve yourself. You shall have a trowel among your weapons. It shall be when you relieve yourself, you shall dig with it, and shall turn back and cover your excrement. For Yahweh your God walks in the middle of your camp to deliver you, and to give up your enemies before you. Therefore your camp shall be holy, that he may not see an unclean thing in you and turn away from you. You shall not deliver to his master a servant who has escaped from his master to you. He shall dwell with you, among you, in the place which he shall choose within one of your gates, where it pleases him best. You shall not oppress him. There shall be no prostitute of the daughters of Israel, neither shall there be a sodomite of the sons of Israel. You shall not bring the hire of a prostitute or the wages of a male prostitute into the house of Yahweh your God for any vow. For both of these are an abomination to Yahweh your God. You shall not lend on interest to your brother. Interest of money, interest of food, interest of anything that is lent on interest. You may charge a foreigner interest, but you shall not charge your brother interest, that God may bless you in all that you put your hand to, in the land of where you go to possess it. When you vow a vow to Yahweh your God, you shall not be slack to pay it, for Yahweh your God will surely require it of you, and it would be a sin in you. But if you refrain from making a vow, it shall be no sin in you. You shall observe and do that which has gone out of your lips. Whatever you have vowed to Yahweh your God, as a free will offering, which you have promised with your mouth, you must do. When you come into your neighbor's vineyard, then you may eat your fill of grapes at your own pleasure, but you shall not put any in your container. When you come into your neighbor's standing grain, then you may pluck the ears with your hand, but you shall not use a sickle on your neighbor's standing grain. Chapter 24. When a man takes a wife and marries her, then it shall be, if she finds no favor in his eyes because he has found some unseemly thing in her, that he shall write her a certificate of divorce, put it in her hand, and send her out of his house. When she has departed out of his house, she may go and be another man's wife. If the latter husband hates her and writes her a certificate of divorce, puts it in her hand, and sends her out of his house, or if the latter husband dies, who took her to be his wife, her former husband who sent her away may not take her again to be his wife after she is defiled, for that would be an abomination to Yahweh. You shall not cause the land to sin, which Yahweh your God gives you for an inheritance. When a man takes a new wife, he shall not go out in the army, neither shall he be assigned any business. He shall be free at home 1 year, and shall cheer his wife whom he has taken. No man shall take the mill or the upper millstone as a pledge, for he takes a life in pledge. If a man is found stealing any of his brothers of the children of Israel, and he deals with them as a slave or sells them, then that thief shall die. So you shall remove the evil from among you. Be careful in the plague of leprosy that you observe diligently and do according to all that the Levitical priests teach you. As I commanded them, so you shall observe to do. Remember what Yahweh your God did to Miriam, by the way, as you came out of Egypt. When you lend your neighbor any kind of loan, you shall not go into his house to get his pledge. You shall stand outside, and the man to whom you lend shall bring the pledge outside to you. If he is a poor man, you shall not sleep with his pledge. You shall surely restore to him the pledge when the sun goes down, that he may sleep in his garment and bless you. It shall be righteousness to you before Yahweh your God. You shall not oppress a hired servant who is poor and needy, whether he is one of your brothers or one of the foreigners who are in your land within your gates. In his day you shall give him his wages, neither shall the sun go down on it, for he is poor and sets his heart on it, lest he cry against you to Yahweh and it be sin to you. The fathers shall not be put to death for the children, nor shall the children be put to death for the fathers. Every man shall be put to death for his own sin. You shall not deprive the foreigner or the fatherless of justice, nor take a widow's clothing in pledge. But you shall remember that you were a slave in Egypt, and Yahweh your God redeemed you there. Therefore I command you to do this thing. When you reap your harvest in your field, and have forgotten a sheaf in the field, you shall not go again to get it. It shall be for the foreigner, for the fatherless, and for the widow, that Yahweh your God may bless you in all the work of your hands. When you beat your olive tree, you shall not go over the boughs again. It shall be for the foreigner, for the fatherless, and for the widow. When you harvest your vineyard, you shall not glean it after yourselves. It shall be for the foreigner, for the fatherless, and for the widow. You shall remember that you were a slave in the land of Egypt. Therefore I command you to do this thing. Chapter 25. If there is a controversy between men, and they come to judgment, and the judges judge them, then they shall justify the righteous and condemn the wicked. It shall be, if the wicked man is worthy to be beaten, that the judge shall cause him to lie down and to be beaten before his face, according to his wickedness, by number. He may sentence him to no more than 40 stripes. He shall not give more, lest if he should give more and beat him more than the many stripes, then your brother will be degraded in your sight. You shall not muzzle the ox when he treads out the grain. If brothers dwell together, and one of them dies and has no son, the wife of the dead shall not be married outside to a stranger. Her husband's brother shall go in to her, and take her as his wife, and perform the duty of a husband's brother to her. It shall be that the firstborn whom she bears shall succeed in the name of his brother who is dead, that his name shall not be blotted out of Israel. If the man doesn't want to take his brother's wife, Then his brother's wife shall go up to the gate to the elders and say, My husband's brother refuses to raise up to his brother a name in Israel. He will not perform the duty of a husband's brother to me. Then the elders of his city shall call him and speak to him. If he stands and says, I don't want to take her, then his brother's wife, shall come to him in the presence of the elders and loose his sandal from his foot and spit in his face. She shall answer and say, So shall it be done to the man who does not build up his brother's house. His name shall be called in Israel, the house of him who had his sandal removed. When men strive against each other, and the wife of one draws near to deliver her husband out of the hand of him who strikes him, and puts out her hand and grabs him by the private parts, then you shall cut off her hand. Your eye shall have no pity. You shall not have in your bag diverse weights, one heavy and one light. You shall not have in your house diverse measures, one large and one small. You shall have a perfect and just weight. You shall have a perfect and just measure, that your days may be long in the land which Yahweh your God gives you. For all who do such things, all who do unrighteously, are an abomination to Yahweh your God. Remember what Amalek did to you by the way as you came out of Egypt, how he met you by the way and struck the rearmost of you, all who were feeble behind you, when you were faint and weary, and he didn't fear God. Therefore it shall be, when Yahweh your God has given you rest from all your enemies all around, in the land which Yahweh your God gives you for an inheritance to possess it, that you shall blot out the memory of Amalek from under the sky. You shall not forget. Chapter 26. It shall be when you come into the land which Yahweh your God gives you for an inheritance, possess it and dwell in it, that you shall take some of the first of all the fruit of the land, which you shall bring in from your land that Yahweh your God gives you. You shall put it in a basket, and shall go to the place which Yahweh your God shall choose to cause his name to dwell there. You shall come to the priest, who shall be in those days, and tell him, I profess today to Yahweh your God, that I have come to the land which Yahweh swore to our fathers to give us. The priest shall take the basket out of your hand, and shall set it down before Yahweh your God's altar. You shall answer and say before Yahweh your God, My father was a Syrian, ready to perish. He went down into Egypt and lived there, few in number. There he became a great, mighty, and populous nation. The Egyptians mistreated us, afflicted us, and imposed hard labor on us. Then we cried to Yahweh, the God of our fathers. Yahweh heard our voice and saw our affliction, our toil, and our oppression. Yahweh brought us out of Egypt with a mighty hand, with an outstretched arm, with great terror, with signs and with wonders. And he has brought us into this place and has given us this land, a land flowing with milk and honey. Now behold, I have brought the first of the fruit of the ground, which you, Yahweh, have given me. You shall set it down before Yahweh your God, and worship before Yahweh your God. You shall rejoice in all the good which Yahweh your God has given to you and to your house, you and the Levite, and the foreigner who is among you. When you have finished tithing all the tithe of your increase in the 3rd year, which is the year of tithing, then you shall give it to the Levite, to the foreigner, to the fatherless, and to the widow, that they may eat within your gates and be filled. You shall say before Yahweh your God, I have put away the holy things out of my house, and also have given them to the Levite, to the foreigner, to the fatherless, and to the widow, according to all your commandment which you have commanded me. I have not transgressed any of your commandments, neither have I forgotten them. I have not eaten of it in my mourning, neither have I removed any of it while I was unclean, nor given of it for the dead. I have listened to Yahweh my God's voice. I have done according to all that you have commanded me. Look down from your holy habitation, from heaven, and bless your people Israel, and the ground which you have given us, as you swore to our fathers, a land flowing with milk and honey. Today Yahweh your God commands you to do these statutes and ordinances. You shall therefore keep and do them with all your heart and with all your soul. You have declared today that Yahweh is your God, and that you would walk in his ways, keep his statutes, his commandments, and his ordinances, and listen to his voice. Yahweh has declared today that you are a people for his own possession, as he has promised you, and that you should keep all his commandments. He will make you high above all nations that he has made, in praise, in name, and in honor, and that you may be a holy people to Yahweh your God, as he has spoken. That ends our reading today, and I hope it has blessed you. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow for the next readings. Thank you.
Hello, my friend, and welcome to Fear into Faith Global Bible Revival, where we're on a mission to get 1 million people to read the Word of God and see a Bible revival happen. My name is Summer Day. I'm your host, and with me in the studio today is Liz Birkland. Hello, beautiful.
Oh, hello, Summer. I love when you say that. Hello, beautiful.
Yes. Like when I say what? Hello, beautiful.
Yes.
Aw.
Yeah.
Well, you were beautiful.
Well, so are you.
Thank you.
The amount of belief that you have in me and every single person that you talk to on this is just, it's totally inspiring.
I adore you.
Well,
Just starting off the game with compliments. You're so fabulous.
we all need more of them.
Right?
I do
Amen.
believe. Yes. Yep.
Well, let's talk a little bit about you. Tell everybody where you're from.
Within a moment, you will be able to notice that I am from Minnesota because everything sounds like I'm up north.
That's awesome. So the longer you talk, the more people are going to go, oh, Minnesota.
I hear it.
Hear it. Coming out.
Yep.
And what is it that you do?
I am a life coach.
Awesome.
I'm a mom. I'm a wife.
How many kids do you have?
We have 2 sons. Our oldest is 28, and he lives in Omaha, Nebraska. He's a certified public accountant. Our youngest is 22, and he's in college, but he's studying accounting too.
And how long you been married?
We will be married 31 years in December. I know. Yeah.
What is your secret to being married that long?
I was so lucky. God truly blessed me with the man I'm married to. Yeah. I've spent my whole life looking for someone like him and found him. Yeah.
I love it. So that's a good message. Don't be afraid to spend a little more time looking.
And I spent time.
It's good.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
Good.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
You just finished doing your reading. How did that go? Were you nervous?
I was a little nervous.
nervous.
I think one of the things that I get nervous about is I am generally a little more laid back. People think I'm serious. People think I'm not interested because I'm just a little more laid back. And so trying to put more energy into it.
Yeah.
And they told me before I started filming that the camera was going to suck energy out of me.
It does. It's crazy.
Well, and I still find anytime I'm like doing a Facebook Live or, doing something, speaking, it's like, no, you've got to amp the energy up. And I keep thinking about, I was a cheerleader in high school and like that was one of the coolest things ever. But I wonder if I had enough energy back then even. So I don't know.
You had to up your energy in the other room. Awesome. Did you enjoy the scriptures you got to read?
I did. Yeah. Yep. 2 Chronicles, there were a lot of names in there and a lot of stumbling, a lot of practicing ahead of time. But it's kind of like, you know what? God's going to have me say, pronounce them the way I'm supposed to, and we're just sharing God's word. So,
I read the Bible now 4 times. And even then, you don't realize just how many names are in the Bible until you decide to produce this TV show. And you're dividing it all up, and you're like, oh, that person's going to have a lot of names. And so we're having to let people know, first of all, we don't need perfection.
Mm-hmm.
And second of all, there's a lot of sections with names, and we have to get through the Old Testament before the New Testament. So thank you for being willing to go through those, even if maybe you weren't as confident as you would have liked to have been.
Well, and without reading the Bible cover to cover, you don't know if you've read it all.
Yeah.
Who knows if I had read that part before, ever?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I've listened to the Bible cover to cover before, but I've never read it for myself.
Wow.
So,
I love it.
it's an awesome opportunity.
I think there's authority that comes when you finish and you know it, and you know you read every word in there.
Mm-hmm.
What made you say yes to this project?
God has done so much for me in just the last year and a half. And to be able to, I've been craving him more and more and more.
Yeah.
And to be able to participate in this, to be able to help share this, to help get his story out so that the rest of us can get our stories out. I really think about how much glory God deserves. And maybe we don't give enough. We may think it, we don't want to take it for granted.
Yeah.
And by sharing his word, that's part of what I want to do, is to be a vessel for him.
Yeah.
So
Why do you think it's important for people to read the word themselves? You listen to the whole audio, but why is it important to read it?
I do think part of it is just different learning styles, perhaps, too. I tend to do better when I read versus listen.
Yeah.
But when you start bringing it in from your eyes, there's the physical motion of moving your mouth and speaking the word. And then there's the audio part that it comes out. So you're getting 3 different views of his word by reading it and speaking it.
Wow. Amen. I love it. I love it. Well, let's talk a little bit about your journey with the Lord. I don't actually know the answer to this question, even though we're friends. Were you raised in the church?
Yes, technically.
Technically. No one on the show so far, Liz, has had a technically answer. So please explain.
Yeah. So my mom was raised in the Lutheran Church, married my dad, who I think was baptized right before they were married.
Okay.
And he was an officer in the U.S. Army and was in Vietnam when I was sent to Vietnam when I was 4. My little sister was a year and a half old. And when I was 5, he was killed in Vietnam.
Oh, my gosh.
And my mom, being raised in the church, she and I never talked about this, but I really think she had a falling out with God after my dad was killed. Yeah. And
rightfully so. I mean, I can imagine that was really hard being a young mom, 5-year-old, 1.5-year-old, husband dying in Vietnam.
Yeah. Yep. Wow. And so we continued to go to church. I think she did get comfort from the ultimate knowledge that she was saved, that my dad was saved. And we went to church, but it honestly was like, I went to confirmation and didn't listen to a word because I was more interested in the boys who were there. And I admit that, like, right off. And then went to a Lutheran college, in fact. But I think I went to chapel once. I mean, we went to church, but it was just a rote existence. Like, we were there for
just to check the box?
Kind of. Like, I wasn't quite sure what it was. It was definitely religion versus faith.
Okay.
And even meeting my husband, we were married in the church. I joined his Lutheran church. We would have conversations, or I would be struggling with things. I'd get a new job. I would rearrange the living room, whatever it was. And Pete would encourage me, but he always had his tagline, Liz, I think you're looking for Jesus.
Wow.
And he's so,
I'm going to pause you right there.
okay.
We're going to leave everyone hanging on I Think You're Looking for Jesus. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back. Wow.
The number one tool for generational wealth is and always has been real estate. Property ownership is the most trusted financial security, and there's so many benefits. Most people lack the information, education, and more importantly, the mindset to make real estate repeatable and profitable. Until now. Our step-by-step approach will give you the knowledge and tools necessary to help you grow your portfolio. Check me out, ToneRobinson.com.
God said, let there be light, and there was light.
Have you ever read the Bible from cover to cover? Then join us on Global Bible Revival. Right here on Zandra TV.
We are back, and we've got Liz Birkland here. And what a cliffhanger. Yeah. So your husband started telling you, no matter whatever the issue was, you even talked about rearranging furniture, and he said, I think you're looking for Jesus.
Absolutely.
Got to tell me more about that.
I was, without knowing it at the time, I was totally empty. Wow. I can't tell you for sure the words that came out of my parents' mouths, but when my dad went to Vietnam, at some point I am certain that they would have said to me, the 4 and 5-year-old little girl, Daddy's coming home. And if I couldn't trust them to come through with what was going on, to make Daddy come home when they said they would, they were the people who took care of me, who I relied on. How could I trust God who I didn't know? I knew of him in name. I say that I believed in God. I've always believed in God.
Yeah.
It's only recently I started believing him.
Wow.
And having that relationship with him.
That's really powerful. So I want to say, so you believed in God, but you didn't believe him.
No.
Wow.
No.
I don't think I've ever heard anyone phrase it that way. What a huge difference.
It's a huge, huge difference. And so there were so many things I was looking for, Summer.
Yeah.
I was looking for acknowledgement. I was looking for reassurance, validation. I was looking for love. Growing up, I wanted a boyfriend.
Yeah.
My mom never remarried. That's another thing to say, is that she raised me and my little sister on her own. And we had a couple men in our lives, family members, but I never had a dad figure.
Yeah.
I didn't have brothers. I didn't know what it was like. And I was looking for love. And not knowing that it was from God that I was supposed to get it. Wow. And so, fast forward to in my 40s, and I've got my sons, I've got a wonderful marriage, but I'm still looking for things.
Wow.
And my husband, Peter, I call him just so wise. And he is such a solid man. And I'm so blessed. But for him to say, I think you're looking for Jesus. I honestly, it was such insight. Because I don't know that I would have.
So when
you can check out the rest of this interview right here or by going to BibleRevival.tv. And if this show has blessed you, you can help us bless others by partnering with us for as little as $20 a month and help us to expand the reach of this show. We'd also like to invite you to join our Kingdom Discipleship Program, where you have an opportunity to get on weekly Bible Zoom calls with us and people around the world to deep dive into His Word. And you can check all that out at BibleRevival.tv. I'll see you next time, my friend.